Tre Johnson early, not allowing him to settle in, getting his shot. As I'm silent.
Transfer has checked into the game for Ohio State. Buckeyes turn it over. Johnson in the transition with the fluidity to his game. So
across the board in college basketball. And the chance and opportunity for a program to reinvent the way that they play based off personnel every year.
Boy, good looking.
They were picked to finish 8th in the Big Ten. They feel like they have, as you see, Tre Johnson.
Up the floor, and Larry Johnson transition 3, and he buries it. Then the officials letting him play through the contact. Tre Johnson puts it on the deck. Boy, taking Longhorns, number 19 team in the country. Larry gets it to Johnson. He'll fire and buries another 3. Michi Johnson sets the table for Parrish. Shot clock at 2. Look at Johnson. Clean strip for real in the Big Ten this season. 7-point lead over number 19 Texas. Tre Johnson, deep shot.
I was checking into the Texas huddle. He said, let's make this a 2-possession game right now. Coach Terry saying
tonight, Michi Johnson hoping 3 won't go. So an 8-point game. Boy, beautiful dime inside. It's Kaluma. Boy, the pretty look from the... This is something to work for. Boy, big possession and a freshman 8. 70 seconds. Boy, beautiful setup underneath. Shedrick off the feed from Johnson.
Out for the 2nd straight game. Transfer from Arkansas, averaging 16 points a game last season. And right off the bat, looking for Peyton Rogers. Kent got the tip, and Johnson will take the ball away. Weaver hands, off the Johnson. 5 in a row to get him within 4. 8 on the shot clock for the freshman Johnson. Crossover, pulls up for the elbow. Yes. Selkes. Johnson 5 points so far in the first half. 29 Monday record for a Texas freshman in his debut. He drives, finds Kaluma. He was much different than most teams in Division I as Tre Johnson. Here comes Weaver. Johnson, Shedrick with the screen. Johnson the layup.
Lives a little bit easier.
20 on the shot clock, 23 to go in the half. Tre Johnson off and downs the 3. Caden Shedrick sky for the swat. Tre Johnson pulls up for 3. Texas's biggest lead. High, but if Kaluma can get better even on the defensive end, he will be a tremendous two-way. Texas has led the whole way, but it was nip and tuck for much of the first half. And just a 7-point Texas lead at the break. Johnson, this time from the paint, scores again.
Has had some really good teams and right on cue.
Weaver 2 tips this time. Johnson off the glass and scores. The rim. Tre Johnson tries with a left hand this time. Scores. Swat. 6'11" freshman from here in Austin. Leads to the Tre Johnson 3. Yes! He's at 12
before he went to Boston College.
And we were reminiscing about those old Aggie Longhorn matchups. Homa. Texas breaks the pressure. Tre Johnson's first shot. Bingo.
Longhorns perimeter efforts.
Troy McCoy Jr., freshman, guards fellow freshman Tre Johnson. Pulls up from the elbow. He's 2 for 2.
Nice team defense by Chicago State that time.
Johnson then comes from behind. 1 remaining first half. Sunderland wasn't expecting the pass. Pope, showtime! Johnson! Again, Texas on the run. Again, an open shot. Johnson for 3. Long 3, Johnson. Yes! With the lead 45. They left Johnson open. He buries another one.
State finds another bucket over the defender, and this time it's Donovan Sanders.
Little three-quarter court pressure.
Tre Johnson, the front iron. Weaver with the rebound. Johnson trying to back his way in. It's Stredick leading the way for NBSU with 10 points of his own. Johnson, power dribble off the glass, gets it out to Julian Larry. Tre Johnson with the triple. Johnson in front of his new teammates.
That's the matchup. And does that take his legs away offensively for what he needs to do for the Orangemen?
Well, 6'4" Sterling just transfer from UTEP, who's given them some great performances early. The spin from Johnson into Lampkin and finish.
It takes for JJ, it's constant. I feel like that's taking away a little bit of his legs on that offensive end.
Johnson's got it right now, one-on-one against Sterling. Pro move. Johnson has not hit a shot in the second half. He is still trying to operate for Texas, and finally he scored. And then Simpson into the teeth of Tre Johnson. Johnson then drives it at Ajabor. Wrong-footed finish.
Weaver almost daring Simpson to try to finish over the top of him.
Johnson again.
Oh, man.
Johnson slashing. Great find. Shedrick.
Well, Simpson is fighting him like crazy to stay over the top, and they are giving a variety of looks. That's just a tough shot.
Turnover. Johnson, a rare clean.
Impressive as Kendall Weaver. His a sense of urgency and quickness to close out makes him set. Let's utilize some time on the clock.
Johnson against Haskins. Got the redshirt freshman on him. Shimmy, shake, and the bang.
Johnson can go to work again.
Instead, Larry, Shedrick, now Johnson. It's his moment. It's his shot.
Entirely new starting lineup for the Longhorns this year, bringing in a number of transfers. But there's the freshman we just talked a couple of years ago. A lot of experience on this Texas team. Watson driving and denied by Watson. Promptly turned it over. And Delaware State returns the favor. Johnson, Texas with numbers, give and go. Tre Johnson and one. The corner, Mark with a miss. Johnson tries his hand and connects. 1 on 3. Bad idea. Tre Johnson hustling. Tre Johnson to the rack.
That's just he's going to continue to be there. Newton is, and you better get a hand up on him.
Tre Johnson opened Caden Shedrick a moment ago. Shedrick was calling for it. Meanwhile, from the outside is Pope and connects.
It's all right with me.
Meanwhile, here's the newbie, Tre Johnson. The up and under, Tre! What impresses you most about Tre Johnson?
What impresses me most about him is him being efficient. And I didn't know that he was this much of a willing passer because of that. Continue to play the game. Don't lose your head and things will be fine.
3-on-1 for Texas, Tre Johnson!
Columbus had a couple of stops. Creighton and Kansas State. Texas push. What a jam!
Oh, my
goodness. SEC starting the challenge. SEC won the first 9 games before Clemson pulled off an upset of Kentucky late last night. That's a rematch. Kevin Durant was at the first one. Here's Tre Johnson with the fadeaway. Good. He's got that. NC State with the turnover. State has given up the lead as Tre Johnson goes. And for everything he did while here at NC State, that legacy continues. Johnson pull up 3. Whoa! State thought it was goaltending. All burnt orange the other way. Tre Johnson transition. Let's see what the freshman can do to shoot it. Over the top of the white.
This is Johnson averaging almost 21 a game. Lays it in softly with the left hand.
Come on, Phoenix. Do this. I was like, wait a minute. That's his nickname now?
Johnson trying to back down Diarra. Got the shot off over him and hits a tough turnaround. Remember, we were here last year. Baylor was in here. Remember the job he did on Jacoby Walter? And now a steal and a jam for points of emphasis at halftime.
I think part of the problem was their switches were lazy. You know, they're switching everything.
Boy, tough shot. That's just good offense.
I'm definitely not calling you when I'm in trouble.
Here's Johnson. And again, look at the defense by Diarra. Diarra is doing his job. And Johnson makes another tough shot. And Jay, that's assist number 7 for Hassan Diarra.
Diarra's been outstanding. He's run the team, and then he's defended very well. That's a heck of a shot.
Yeah. 22. It's still 15. Ball is still loose. Johnson's got it. And it's down to 12.
They come across each other.
Played high school just about 15 miles apart. Johnson step back 3. Another one. How good.
There's the wide pin for Johnson.
Diarra back on Johnson. The floater this time. The 3 tipped around and another possession for Texas.
Johnson, great find. What a feed to Kaluma.
Right now, down to 1:20. Johnson off a screen, kicks it to Kaluma. Good look. Got it. And it's 73.
Mark looks for his second three. Yes. Yima to play a lot of minutes in games this season, but when he is on the floor, just how important is he when basketball? Robert Carpenter, the Aggies' leading scorer, misfires from three. Tre Johnson buries the three. Down the rebound. Johnson pulls up in the short corner. Yes. 4 more tune-ups before SEC play for Texas. Arkansas Pine Bluff will be here Sunday afternoon. Johnson with the right hand, the runner.
This year is no easy feat. So
could be showtime here. Kaluma.
Off it goes to Tre Johnson. Weaving back to the right side. Fade away from the right side. It rattles home for Tre's first ball. It's a matchup zone against Texas. Left side is Johnson. Drives to the baseline with a fade away, and it gets the friendly roll. Rebound Texas. Kaluma to Johnson. Tre lobbing it in for Kendall Weaver. As we hit the 6-minute mark remaining in the first half. Johnson on the left side. Let's fly with a three, and he nails it. Larry across the floor to Johnson. Tre, a contested three, and it's good. Tre brings first personal foul. Tre Johnson trying to drive in. Instead will nail the right elbow jump. Just lost the dribble trying to go behind the back, but it's picked up by Shedrick. Off to Johnson for three. Got it. For Northwestern State. Weaver into the corner, shooting over it. Johnson, a three, and it's good. Tre hits it, but Weaver got it back. Now to Johnson. Tre, again to Kaluma. This time he'll shoot the three and connect. Great job. Kaluma scrambling in to pick up the loose change. Now Texas in transition. Johnson with the lob into Weaver.
And Taylor turns it over. 2-on-1 for Texas. Tre Johnson floater, good. And Texas. Johnson dumps it off, and Kaluma gets under the basket.
That's what you have.
Texas from running so far in the second half. Johnson turnaround two.
There
good.
You go.
That's what he can do.
I think they got to keep trusting their offense, but they're going to put a lot of pressure on their defense to get stops.
Johnson with the block on Taylor. Texas defense has been good. Tre Johnson with the block. The second.
College football playoff has been worth the price of admission.
Oh, my goodness.
See if the Longhorns can get to Will Howard.
And first bucket is 3 on the season. Tonight, 5 of 9. Johnson falling away. Nothing but net.
Tigers.
Plenty of time.
I like this matchup here for Texas. He's got size.
Yep. Here's Tre Johnson working on Pettiford. Tries to shoot over it. Got it. He can make it interesting with a 3. Fades. Got it. He's in double through.
Third different Division I stop for Milicic. Here's Tre Johnson now. And Tre Johnson hits for career high last game. Ziegler's got to be matched up with Larry. Baseline jumper good. Meshack gets screened. Johnson goes right inside. Beautiful feed to Caden Shedrick.
Trap instead of pulling it back out. Create the opportunity.
Kaluma got his hands on that pass. Johnson transition three. Feeling it. It started with the assist. Here's Johnson. Size advantage on Ziegler. Turnaround, fade away. Beautiful jump shot from Tre Johnson. Regular season finale. Shot clock at 7. About a 3-second difference between shot and game clock. Tre Johnson. Man, he is something. Kaluma gives it back to Johnson. 6 on the shot clock. High off the glass and good. You just made this.
A healthy Cade Phillips doesn't miss that. He's really struggling with that shoulder.
Tre Johnson for 3. Step back. Oh, this guy, he got good looks. It was just a bad shooting day. Fade away. He even made that one harder than it should have been. Guarded by Larry. Let's see if they get him a touch. Ziegler downhill. Rejected by Tre Johnson. Larry. Tre Johnson lurking in the corner, guarded by Meshack. Beautiful back cut and a 2-hand jam. It's a 6-point Volunteer lead. Here's Tre Johnson from the elbow. Nearly.
Hand off to Johnson, baseline in the mid-range. Boy, silky smooth.
To give up those kind of off-the-bounce shots like that.
And a turnover. Here comes Johnson. Three-point shooting. Fast breaks. We can sell those. Both teams trying to become better rebounding programs.
Oh,
Tre, open three. Well, Pryor, love to have that one back. Here's Johnson, right in his wheelhouse. And they have been very impressive so far tonight. Johnson.
Oh, no.
With the bounce. Are you kidding? Tre Johnson.
Trying to go freshman against freshman.
There it is. Fears on Johnson. The turnaround. And the bounce. Johnson defended by Goodeye. Tre Johnson. In and out and back down.
SEC in scoring, trying to become the 6th freshman all-time to finish the season in that spot. Lunges mid-range, and he gets it to go.
You don't want to get in a mismatch with your point guard having a box-off conduct.
Tre Johnson from the logo, and Longhorns have made their last 3. Onyema gives it up. This is the isolation they want to run for Tre Johnson. Turnaround. That is a beautiful shot. Here's Johnson again, isolation. Fade away. Got it again.
I don't know if
20th run of 10-0 or better this season. I mean, they can put it on you in a hurry. Here's the isolation for Johnson. And that will end that skid. Is built on working out first thing. So they got Thursday morning off, and there's a nice finish. 5 points and 10 boards for Condon. And Johnson cut off. Little up and under move. Got it.
Really good push here, though, by Texas.
Largest lead.
And more right now.
Kaluma with the drive. And here's Johnson, free throw line.
Nailed it.
And it's to Pryor. Back to the hands of the freshman Johnson. Tough sledding for him. Baseline feed. Kaluma. Larry's got 2 seconds. Got it across in time. So Texas, will they show patience? Johnson wants it immediately and finally has it.
He's middle of one of college sports' all-time rivalries. 226 meeting between Texas and Indiana State. Arthur Kaluma is out with a bothersome knee injury. Here's Tre Johnson, the super freshman. He's ready to check in at the next dead ball. Johnson's got parking lot range and efficient from the midi. Johnson brings it across. He's going to try to take it himself. Off the glass and in. Excellent team on both ends of the floor. But it was interesting how one shot, a Tre Johnson 3, and he gets a rejection here. The step through for Shedrick, and he gives it up. Solomon Washington didn't play much in the first half. Beautiful no-look pass and a flush. Johnson very rarely uses the screen. Here's Shedrick, gives it right back to him. And he knocks it down. Whoa, that was a shove. Solomon Washington goes all the way to the hardwood. A 3 and a whistle and a chance for
unguardable.
Johnson working on Washington. And he takes. Here's Tre Johnson, guarded by Coleman. Step back 3. Got it! 5 to go. Mark to Tre Johnson, gathers and guns. Got it!
Got the switch, which hurts their offensive rebounding, too.
Kent finds Johnson for 3. Got it! Out there to help run the offense. Larry was sensational against the Aggies. Tre Johnson going baseline. That is his move. And point effort against A&M was the best for a Texas freshman since Durant's final game as a Longhorn. Here's Julian Larry to now Tre Johnson.
Every possession must end with a cut against this help side defense.
Tre Johnson contested deep 2. Larry into the paint. Kaluma touch pass. And Tre Johnson got it.
Game win streak to start conference play. And a primary reason why they had that huge win at Alabama. He was a monster.
He owned them on the glass. And Tre Johnson is able to hit. Rebels lead by 3. Tre Johnson is able to get the whistle on the drive. Here's Mark again. Half step on Padula. Now he finds Tre Johnson. And we're tied.
He was leading the Racers of Murray State and one Ja Morant.
to the tournament. There's a step back baseline jumper clock. Johnson around the screen. Johnson. Couple moves down low, and there's a shot in the paint. So he really does. Top of everybody's scouting report. Step back three from the corner. Nothing. Off the curl. Johnson, great dime and a stuff. All set up by much of the scoring load in Austin with all the other weapons that this team has, including this guy right here. That is an NBA move. Everything but the finish. Now Texas the other way. Johnson defers. Strong finish in transition. Texas. They work it around the horn. Great pass by the freshman to the weaving veteran.
Have been going. That's the only way LSU can play at its ceiling.
Yeah, they had to have that against the Texas team.
About Missouri and their big win today on the road in Starkville, and Tennessee winning shorthanded. So what's Missouri's reward on the schedule?
They have definitely gotten into a great rhythm in this second half. This guy's always in rhythm. How about that?
Season, he said, look, you're not just going to be a standstill shooter big man.
Tre Johnson for three, drills it. He was pumping up Ivica should shoot around today, and he was pointing him out to the rest of his teammates. He said he doesn't need anybody to tell him he's great. He knows he is. Team without Boogie Flan, I know they're not as talented, obviously, with a top pick sitting out.
I think big picture, they would be better with Flan. There's a much time in this game to get that late shot clock and do a nice turnaround jumper.
Johnson, reverse layup off the window, good.
The timeout.
Tre Johnson, sidestep three, drills it.
Second one with the shot
clock,
yeah.
Texas takeaway, here's the lob. That's a good-looking shot.
You know, a couple buckets, and if you're Texas, you can get this thing to single digits.
Shedrick with the hammer. Got it by Johnson, but picked up by his teammate. Transition three. Got it!
This is Johnson. Johnson drops off a beautiful pass and the bucket by. What a weapon. Here's Johnson. Finally, he wasn't court. Gets a high screen. Look
careful.
Out. Shake and bake on. And then a fade and fire.
Be careful.
That is afford to lose. McLaughlin and Carey so valuable for a team that does not have great front court depth. There's a triple. Barrett, sure if you want to. But obviously, it's a turnover. Great feed from Johnson. Another reason why. Missed it.
I think Shedrick got a piece of that.
I think he did. Another dime dropped off by Johnson. Here comes Johnson. Alley-oop! Oh, look at that play! Johnson. And hounding him 45 feet from the basket. Now on the switch, it's Nickel.
Isolation.
Johnson wants it. Johnson crossover. Johnson driving, hanging, and hitting it off the glass.
Shots come after offensive rebounds. That's a problem. That's a problem.
Can't leave him alone.
Go with Larry, better defender, better distributor. Tough shot on the baseline, and he finds
play at 25 minutes a game.
Corner three finds the bottom.
His shot is still a work in progress, but he plays hard.
Right back at you, Tre. To start. Would like to see Pope maybe have a little fire lit underneath him. Johnson. Oh, man, he knocks down 24. We'll get a timeout as we head under the 4-minute mark of the first half. Johnson. Rises, fires.
10 on 6-5 is what Nate Oates decides to go with. What a shifty move by Johnson.
It sure was.
Get open. No doubt.
Johnson left wide open. That's a layup for Tre Johnson.
The fourth. They've got 10 turnovers in this game. Remember, you got to keep an eye for a day and a half. We're going to keep our team together, come to Austin, watch the Super Bowl, practice, and keep our focus. And it has worked out beautifully.
Stevenson nearly got tripped from behind. Whoa, boy, does he have great body. Now he gets the ball again. See if he throws up another one. Alley-oop. That'll work well. A couple of highlights. Larry trying to drive against Perry. Denied. Williams. He's on Johnson. Soft touch for Tre Johnson. He's gotten lost. Garrison just floated down the left side, and he was in the middle of the paint. Chance for Pope to bury one. He does. They really go. Away. That ball knocked away by Kent. Here's Johnson with a pick.
Perry back. Johnson away. Well, this is the key play. Good move. Johnson as he beat Owe, turned his back on him. Yeah, Owe just, you can't face guard a great Shedrick trying to work against big body Garrison. And now Johnson with 10. Fade away, right on the money. Well, he can create his own, can he not? And you're better off over Correa on the right. Now he'll launch a three, and that's a little too strong. Now will Tre go one-on-one? He will. Difficult shot. He makes all of those. I mean, he was actually going no good. Contested that time by Larry. If you're Texas, score right now in your transition game. Johnson trying. Throws it up. What a play. Tre Johnson. Especially late in that game against Tennessee. As we hit the 11-minute mark. Johnson went with the left instead of the reverse. You cannot open up your hip poke. 24 points, Tre Johnson now by Garrison, and that one goes over the rim from Peck. That's Shedrick right out of the way. Again, his nose for the ball and urgency to get to the front of the rim is elite. Double-double for Amari Williams. Johnson wants to do it again. Throws up a circus shot. Again gets it. Oh, my goodness! Johnson wants it. Now he has it with 28 points. Got it! He's got 30. How patient was Tre Johnson?
South Carolina is going to try to lock you down defensively. The question is, do they have the firepower to stay with Texas tonight? And Tre Johnson, case in point.
Without question, but that's
the back iron. Tracked down by Pryor and a fresh 20. Johnson for three. Yes.
Then you go. If they don't say that, especially with NIL, it makes a lot of sense of coming back. And
it's on the move. Little shake and bake from Tre Johnson, up and in.
That's what
Bama, all with big wins today, proving why they are so highly thought of. Tre Johnson is. Johnson picked up by Arden Conyers. He'll try to take advantage and does. Second, Shedrick, who just stole it.
Yes.
Johnson off glass and in. Has a new book coming out. Tre Johnson. Well, that was silky smooth.
Turnover. And again, we talk about controlling the game offensively.
7 straight field goals made by Johnson on Thomas, banks it in.
He's been optimistic, and there's a difference.
Yeah, well said. Big year for Tre Johnson. He'll end the night.
For both of these teams, Tre Johnson hit an early 3, and here he is for a 2. Pope fights around the double. They swing it to Tre Johnson. Can't leave him open. First miss from deep for the Hogs tonight. And Texas running the floor. Two-hand man jam. And you mentioned the new faces for Arkansas. Brazil, the only holdover. Kaluma blindly throws it in. Tre Johnson says, okay, I'll take it. And it goes right by Wagner. Freshman, right, who then become much better towards the end of the season when they spend some time together. And Tre Johnson, air balls. I made the comp earlier of a defensive back. Here's Tre Johnson off the screen, and he answers with push ahead to Tre Johnson. He wants to shoot it. Got it. Tre Johnson
going back to the well on the curl, the down curl.
And Tre Johnson loving it. Got it to go. And help came from Davis. Tre Johnson pulls from 3. Whoa! So the 6'6" knocks on him. A finish no matter. And a 2-possession lead. Tre Johnson with a half step and a finish. 20 seconds to play, down 5. Johnson step back 3. Of course he did.
Good job of taking care of the basketball.
Georgia needs to as well. Surreal threw it away looking for Abson. 10 combined turnovers, only 6 combined buckets.
Johnson's got a chance at three. Meantime, Texas got the offensive rebound from Arthur Kaluma. Johnson on the baseline. The freshman from Nigeria. Let's see if Johnson can get rolling here on a step back. Triple for Tre.
They're still up 19.
Yeah, they haven't needed him here in the first half. Tre Johnson kicks it back out for Jason Kent. Drills a three. He's getting a fourth start the last 5 games. Mike White said to his pregame, he's a winning player. Kaluma cans a three.
Johnson, the deep triple. Yes. He's had his moments in the SEC. Lead it for Johnson. A great look to Kent. Here's the leading scorer in the SEC, and he shows you why.
Yes, sir, right there.
1-point game. Backdoor cut for Johnson outside the mark. How about the vision and the dime?
In the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
That's Houston, Iowa State,
Watch
and a
out.
host of them on the low block. He'll bounce out to get it. Shedrick wide open from the corner, and that's a three.
My goodness.
Johnson off the screen. Connects. Tre Johnson contested three, and Johnson spots Mark. That's a three, and it drops. Halfway home in overtime number 1. Johnson for the lead. Drains it.
Tasty of those cookies.
Do like chocolate chip. Great look to Shedrick, who slams it down.
I'll buy anything he's selling. Froze the defender. Wow, what a pass.
Tremont Mark wide open.
What a pass.
Tied at 47.
Make a big bucket at some point. That was it.
Gamecocks and Longhorns tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN for the SEC Tournament Championship. Arthur Kaluma muscles. Can Tre Johnson get the offensive game going? The vision is there, and the reverse.
They're setting staggers and high ball screens, and they play out of it very well. Very smart players. You get that kind of penetration, he gets a spot-up shot, forget it.
Johnson almost skidded to a stop, couldn't get his feet underneath him. Now he'll take it and hit it. 10 to shoot, 12 on the game clock. Here's Johnson. Hits. And back come the Longhorns.
The shots aren't coming in a way where Vanderbilt can get offensive rebounds, and that's Kaluma.
5 to shoot. Back out. Johnson's got to make something happen, and he hits. Texas and Vanderbilt, a very big game for both, probably more so for the Longhorns, as Johnson team from 3, they won. In the game where they went 12 for 23, they lost.
Well, they can't offensive rebound the Mavs.
That's true. Great year. A lot of big wins. Johnson a threat from anywhere, including there, and he gets it. On the season, they get 42% of their misses. Number 1 in the nation. Johnson into some trouble, finds Kaluma, who scores again. Can Tre Johnson get himself going? Beautiful out of trouble, finds Kaluma. Good help by Zurich Phelps. Johnson underneath to lay it in. On the Longhorns. Johnson finds the open man. Weaver for 3 with the rebound. Johnson pulls up in transition. Only the 4th game all year where everybody has been healthy. Off the glass, beautiful.
Their offense and getting what they want. And really attacking switches.
Johnson freed himself for a three. Johnson over Coleman. He hits. Pope somehow gets it to Johnson. Who hits?
Before this game's over.
And he's healthier than he was at the beginning of the season. No longer wearing that shoulder harness he had for much of the year. As Mark can't get the shot off over Lanier. Now Kent. Now Johnson. And he's on the board. Shedrick gives it back to him. Deep in the corner. Again, he will take shots.
He's trying. Somehow got it off and hits. Wow. Instead of running your offense. Johnson again. Defended by Gainey. Finds Shedrick, who slams it. He's been great today. Phillips knocked away by Johnson.
Hands pass, deflected, stolen. Up the floor comes Johnson looking for his first points. Let's see if they'll count the basket.
Yeah,
they will. Could. Johnson looking for his seam. Well played by Conwell. He's going to elevate. Corner three, and he's in Nashville. Johnson out of the corner. Johnson to the cup. Just dead. So this is really out of character for them. There's a three. Johnson.
I'll just let that hang.
Johnson on the launch. Got it. Johnson underneath. Shedrick. What a finish.
He's going to get friendly bounces.
Oh, Johnson